Hey there, and welcome to another episode of your favorite libertarian. In today's episode, we are hopefully going to answer the question, is a pin and welded 13.9 right for you?
I think that we've already know. Yeah, I think that we've already know. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've already know. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Hey, before we get too far into the video, I just want to mention that I take prayer requests, so if you have any of those, don't hesitate to put those in the comment section below. Also, in the pinned comment and in the description of the video, you will see a link to my link tree that takes you to all the links for stuff that you've probably seen in some of my videos and you wanted to buy anyway. It just helps support the channel. By clicking those links, you're not spending any extra. In fact, you're usually saving money by clicking those links with the discount codes, and it really helps support the channel and allows me to continue making this content for you. If you can do that, that's awesome, and you're awesome. If not, just enjoy this free content. All right, now on to the video. In this video, we're going to talk about the practical and legal reasons why you might want a pin and welded 13.9 or 13.7 rifle. Before we get into the why of this video, let's talk about the what, just so you have some context moving forward in some comparisons that you'll be seeing. This is the Tri-Arc Systems TSR 15S. This is a custom build. You go to their website, you pick out what you want. Almost all of this is Tri-Arc parts, except for maybe the Radian Raptor charging handle, the ambi safety from Radian, and the muzzle device. But otherwise, all the parts are, for the most part, made by Tri-Arc and then assembled by Tri-Arc at their facilities. As far as how this specific rifle is configured, we have the Huxworks HXQD muzzle device. This is their flash hider version of the muzzle device and works with my Huxworks can. Then we have the Tri-Arc 2.0 track barrel, a Modlite OKW on an Arisaka 45-degree mount, BCM-QD, Haley Strategic D3 SLK sling. This rail is the Tri-Arc tri-lok rail. We also have a BCM gunfighter grip, Cerakote and OD green. The standard 15S upper and lower from Tri-Arc. Just a standard dust cover. We have the enhanced bolt carrier group from Tri-Arc, a little dirty because, you know, I've been doing some testing. The enhanced mil-spec trigger from Tri-Arc, and again, ambi safety from Radian, ambi charging handle from Radian as well. On top we have the primary arms 5x36 SLX ACSS Aurora reticle prism scope on a Cram 7.0 riser to give you a little better eye relief, because as we all know, eye relief on prism scopes is not great. Then there's the A5 buffer system, so longer buffer tube, buffer springs different, buffers different, and then we have the SL Magpul stock in OD green and the K2 Plus grip by Magpul as well in OD green. I think that's everything. Did I forget anything? No, I think that's it. First thing I want to discuss for the why is barrel length in terms of velocity for this round. I want to be very specific in that this is going to hopefully answer some questions for you on 5.56, 223. This isn't going to be about barrel length as it pertains to other calibers like 300 Blackout or 8.6. This is specifically for the 5.56 round. And the 5.56 round is very dependent on velocity to do what it's best at doing. I'll throw up a chart right here so you can see 13.9 is kind of the sweet spot. You know, 13.9, 14.5, that area, that range is kind of the sweet spot as far as what's going to be a huge difference in barrel length for velocity and what's kind of going to be diminishing returns, right? So if you want something that's still very wieldy, still easy to use in and around structures, maybe vehicles, the 13.9 has a lot going for it because you're still getting very good velocity out of the round, but you don't have the additional weight, the additional length of a longer barrel, so that's cool. So if you are someone who wants to still have decent velocity and you want to still have the ability to get around in tight spaces, or just have something that's lighter and easier to move around with, a 13.9 might be for you. Now let's talk about what happens when you add a can or suppressor or silencer to the mix. This 13.9 pin and weld, which comes out to like 16 point something inches long in overall barrel length, now is 20 inches from the end, or the beginning, I guess you could say, of the rail to the tip of the suppressor. This suppressor is the Huxworks HXQDTI, so this is their longer of the 5.56 cans. They now have that new 3D printed model that's shorter, but this one added to this setup now makes this barrel length, I guess you could say, 20 inches. Now, it's going to be longer if you just had a regular 16-inch barrel with a muzzle device on it and added this. That would be even longer than this. But it's going to be shorter if you go with something like a 10.5-inch with a suppressor, and you're still going to have suppression. You're still going to have flash mitigation. You're still going to have the ability to kind of mask where the rounds are coming from. But it's going to be shorter. It's going to be lighter. I'm just giving you the information. You decide if that works for you or not in this configuration, or if you're running suppressed, if a shorter configuration makes more sense. Or maybe you want to go a full 18-inch barrel and the suppressor, just have something super long, but you want to be able to reach out and touch things really far away and be very quiet about it. That's an option too. But for the 13.9, with this suppressor specifically on it, you're looking at about a 20-inch barrel length, let's say, for that setup. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. You decide. In comparison, this is a 10.5-inch setup. It's got the same suppressor on it, and this is actually a little bit shorter than the 13.9 just by itself. So if you still want that overall wieldy package, you still want it to be shorter, but you also want it suppressed at the same time and have almost the same length as we're looking at with that 13.9, a 10.5-inch air pistol might make more sense to you. Maybe. Again, context matters. How far are you shooting? What do you need to be able to shoot at? How far do you need to be able to see? What velocities are going to work for your situation? Which brings me to the legal, and I use that in big air quotes, legal considerations when you're looking at a pin and welded 13.9 versus, let's say, something with a bicycle handle on it. This is where a 13.9 really shines, because you get around the length requirements with the pin and weld so that it's still an overall 16 inches, which makes it still legally a rifle, so you can put a stock on it, and you don't have to register it in states where there's a handgun registry. All the legalities of a rifle that work in your favor are there. And in the instance outside of the civilian context, if you're a police department and your police department doesn't allow you to carry a NFA item on patrol, they don't allow you to carry a AR pistol on patrol, but they would allow you to carry a rifle once qualified on patrol, you could still have something shorter if you wanted it to be shorter for whatever reasons. My guess is, as a police officer, you would want to have something shorter if you're having to clear buildings or structures or just get in and out of vehicles with a rifle. It would probably be easier to do that. I'm guessing if the barrel was shorter, you could have something like this. It would still be approved by your department, most likely, if it being a rifle was the only requirement, and you could still have something shorter. In summary, for the pros, legally, this is considered a rifle, so you don't have any legal gray areas to worry about. You can treat it as a rifle because it is a rifle. Also, as long as your velocity requirements are met, this is going to be shorter, meaning it's going to be lighter than other setups that have longer barrels. For the most part, it's going to be easier to move around with, easier to get around tight spaces with. And lastly, as kind of an X factor, it just looks cooler being shorter. I mean, come on, just look at it. Now for the cons of this setup. This being a pin welded option for you, which means the muzzle device is permanently attached with a pin and then welded in place to the barrel. It's not going anywhere. So if you're unsure of what suppressor you might want to get in building out a rifle, or you're not sure if you even want to run a suppressor and you're looking at a bunch of different muzzle devices and you're not sure what muzzle device you want, this might not be the option for you. You might want to go with a 16-inch barrel and then do all your experimenting on that barrel, because if you take off this muzzle device that's already pin and welded, it's now no longer 16 inches in overall length. You now have a short barrel rifle instead of a rifle, and you'd be subject to NFA stuff like tax stamps. And if you do all that before you get approval from the ATF and do all the registration, then you're, I guess, a felon. So there's that. While we're in this legal lane for cons, and I should be clear, this is not my lane. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. And contrary to popular belief, you're actually responsible for the things that you do. Yeah, you. While we have that out of the way, there are some cons to this being a rifle. There are some benefits to it being a rifle legally, but there are also some cons in some states to this being a rifle legally. And one of those cons is that for certain states, this might not be your state, so look into your local laws, but for certain states, you're not allowed to have a rifle loaded when transporting. To give you an example, let's say, I'll just say a state. In that state, you can't have your rifle loaded. If you're transporting it, you have to have the rifle in a locked compartment, which is usually the trunk, and then you have to have the ammunition in a separate compartment that's usually like a glove box or a center console, somewhere that's a separate compartment that's also lockable. That's the legal requirement if you have a rifle. However, in that same state, if you have a pistol and you have a CPL, you can have that pistol, AR pistol or otherwise, for the past 10 years, loaded in your vehicle, loaded in a bag, loaded on your person, concealed, and it was perfectly legal. That might be something to consider. It may or may not apply to you depending on what state you live in, but that's something that could potentially be a con if you do have what is considered legally a rifle. And the last con I can think of, but if you can think of more, put them in the comment section below, is velocity. If you're looking to get the most out of the AR-15 platform and the 5.56 round, the 13.9 inch barrel is not it. Sorry. I hope that didn't hurt anyone's feelings, but it's the truth. Well, that's going to be it for today's thought-provoking video. I hope it helped answer some questions for you and helped you determine if a 13.9 pin and weld, 13.7 pin and weld, or even heck, a 14.5 pin and welded rifle is right for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you have any prayer requests, I take those as well and love to get those. Leave those in the comment section as well. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay free, and God bless.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.